In the far edge of the Milky Way, there was silence where once 100 empires had spoken. For centuries, the stars had echoed with the noise of conflict, ambition, and discovery. Yet now, every radio signal, every beacon, and every pulse of life seemed to pause when the word humanity was spoken. Long ago, when humans first stepped beyond their own solar system, they were ignored. The elder races saw them as a young civilization, loud, curious, too emotional, and far too fragile. They traded small things with them, watched their colonies grow on barren moons, and thought little of them. But history has a habit of surprising even those who think they have seen everything. Humanity was not like the others. They learned faster, built stronger, and adapted quicker than anyone imagined. The story began on a small frontier world named Eos 9. It was a green planet, peaceful and warm, orbiting a twin star system. The people there were settlers, scientists, and builders. They were planting forests where there had once been deserts and creating cities that glowed at night, like constellations reflected on the ground. To them, the galaxy was a home waiting to be explored, not conquered. Then came the challenge. The Karth Dominion, a proud and ancient alien species, sent a fleet. They saw humanity's expansion as an insult, believing the younger race did not deserve such freedom. The Karth had ruled many systems before, bending weaker races to their will. They thought it would be easy to do the same again, so they came to Eos 9 with battleships larger than mountains and voices like thunder. When the Karth commander broadcast his message, the humans of Eos 9 listened quietly. His voice carried arrogance and warning. "Leave this world," he said, "and return to your cradle. You are not ready to stand among the stars." For a moment, there was only silence. Then a calm reply came from a woman in the control tower of the human colony. "We are already among the stars," she said, "and we don't step back." The Karth laughed. They fired a warning shot that turned a mountain into vapor. Yet even then, the humans did not run. They simply went quiet, and that quietness spread across every human world. Within days, the colonies stopped broadcasting music and laughter. The chatter of human communication went silent as if an old instinct had awakened. Across light years, fleets began to move. They did not announce themselves. No warnings, no threats, no speeches. Just quiet preparation, silent unity. The galaxy had seen empires built on power and greed, but never one built on sheer will. Humanity did not seek war, but they remembered what it meant to fight for survival. When the Karth fleet arrived in orbit again, expecting surrender, they found an empty planet. Or so it seemed. Their scanners showed no resistance. They descended, ready to plant their flag. But under the soil, behind the clouds and deep within the mountains, humanity waited. When the first Karth troop landed, their machines were jammed. Their communication failed. The sky turned gray with static clouds that bent light itself. Then, in a moment that would echo across history, a whisper came through the static, a single voice saying, "Now." The storm fell. Human ships broke from the clouds like hawks diving through mist. They were smaller than the Karth warships, but faster, more agile, and unmanned. They struck not with fire, but with precision. Every attack had purpose. Every move part of a plan that no single commander had given, but that every human fleet understood. It was not chaos. It was instinct. It was survival learned through countless ages of struggle. The battle was over in a day. When the last Karth cruiser tried to flee, it was surrounded. Instead of destroying it, the humans sent a message. This is not revenge. It's a reminder. Don't mistake peace for weakness. The ship was allowed to leave, carrying the warning back to the stars. For a while, the galaxy stayed quiet. But there are always those who forget. The Karth recovered, rebuilt, and gathered allies who shared their pride. They formed a great council of older species who believed humanity's rise must be stopped before it spread further. They called themselves the Coalition of Balance. They claimed they were protecting peace, but they prepared for war. By then, humanity had changed. They had grown not only in strength but in understanding. Their colonies reached from one arm of the galaxy to another. They had met other peaceful species, farmers, artists, healers, and shared technology freely. They built cities that floated above oceans and towers that touched the edge of the atmosphere. But they never forgot Eos 9. Every child learned what happened there, not as a tale of victory, but as a lesson in patience. When the coalition declared war, the humans did not answer with speeches. They simply turned off their lights again. The second great silence fell. Coalition fleets searched for human signals, but the stars went dark in human space. Scanners showed no movement, no transmissions, no signs of life. Some thought humanity had vanished. Others believed they were preparing for something unseen. The truth was stranger. The humans had moved beneath notice. Their ships traveled in the folds of space where signals could not follow. They built systems that moved between gravity wells hidden from sight. They didn't fight for territory anymore. They fought for endurance. For every planet the coalition burned, 10 new colonies were built in secret. Years passed. Coalition fleets began to vanish. Sometimes it was a single ship. Sometimes an entire armada. No debris, no distress calls, only silence. Rumors spread that humanity had found a way to erase ships from existence without firing a weapon. But the truth was far simpler. Humans didn't erase, they transformed. Every lost fleet became part of something greater. Repurposed, rebuilt, reshaped by human hands. Even in destruction, they learned. Eventually, only one species remained bold enough to challenge them. The Karth, once again proud, once again blind to the lesson of EOS 9. They believed humanity had grown lazy with peace. They gathered their largest fleet, more powerful than any before, and crossed into human territory. But when they arrived, they found not planets but mirrors, vast orbital stations reflecting the light of distant suns. They saw their own image multiplied 1,000 times and realized too late that they were surrounded. The humans sent one final message. You have reached the end of what resists us. We never wanted this. But you never learned. Then the stars flickered and the Karth fleet was gone. No explosion, no light, only a ripple in the fabric of space where once their power had stood. After that day, no species ever challenged humanity again. Centuries later, travelers spoke of the humans as legends. Some said they had transcended the physical world, living as energy among the stars. Others believed they had simply gone quiet once more, building, exploring, always moving forward. But one truth remained unshaken across the galaxy. Wherever humans went, life followed. Planets bloomed, trade routes opened, and new ideas spread. They were not conquerors. They were gardeners of the stars. Even the descendants of the Karth, now scattered and humble, told their children stories of humanity, not as enemies, but as a warning and an inspiration. They spoke of how humans never sought domination, yet could never be dominated. How they valued peace but understood conflict. How they stood together not through fear, but through a shared purpose. One Karth historian once wrote, "The humans do not destroy, they outlast." That line became a saying among many worlds. It was whispered in spaceports and carved into the walls of old ships. The phrase carried weight because everyone knew it was true. No species that had ever challenged humanity survived as they were. Either they vanished or they changed until they no longer resembled what they had been. Humanity did not simply win wars, they reshaped the galaxy's idea of survival. By the time the next era dawned, the Milky Way had become a place of quiet collaboration. Human-built academies stood on worlds once hostile. Their students came from every species, learning together about science, art, and the balance between progress and empathy. The dark ages of endless war were gone, yet every now and then, when a young explorer looked out at the stars and asked what happened to those who once tried to dominate humanity, the answer came like a soft echo. They don't survive anymore. Somewhere, deep beyond the known systems, a small ship drifted near a dying star. Inside sat an old man with gray eyes, a relic of an age long past. He looked at the faint light of distant worlds and smiled quietly. On his screen was the emblem of the United Earth Legacy Fleet, now more myth than memory. He whispered to himself, "We didn't conquer the galaxy. We simply refused to give up." He closed his eyes and the ship vanished into the folds of space, leaving only the faint hum of humanity's persistence behind. And in that silence, the galaxy remembered, not through fear, not through scars, but through awe. Because when humanity rose, they did not destroy the stars. They made them brighter,